Darkcast Network. The light shines brightest on our indie podcasts.
Warning. The following podcast may occasionally contain strong language and material that is not suitable for all ages. If you are easily offended, it is highly advised that you turn back now. However, if you're a degenerate, welcome, brethren. You've found your home.
Welcome! Come in! This is the Crime Diner. We are a Jersey podcast, and on the menu, we have a variety of true crime, cults, mysteries, historical hilarities, and sometimes victim stories. We do this within a Dinner with Friends theme. I'm Nydia.
I'm Dana.
I'm Cindy.
Last week, I told you the titillating story. Oh, that's the wrong word to use.
Yes.
I told you about the Juarez, Mexico murders.
Yeah.
It's deplorable femicides that are still going on in Juarez.
Yeah.
And other parts of Mexico. Let's not,
Right.
And other parts of the world generally.
Yeah.
But it's about Mexico this time. That was a crazy story, very convoluted, very politically tied.
Yeah.
And I did that. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for that.
Yeah. So if you want to check that out, that was last week.
So this week, I would like to discuss games, toys, cartoons, and things that have been attacked by people who are afraid of demonic possession, satanic panic.
Oh, or gay shit.
Gay shit, yeah.
Okay. I'm here for it.
Yeah, I think you're gonna...
That sounds fun.
I have a lot to talk about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it Tubby Wubby?
Yeah, Tinky Winky.
Tinky Winky,
Yeah, we're going to
Tubby
talk
Wubby.
about Tinky
All right.
Winky. We're going to talk about Tinky Winky.
All right.
We're going to talk about He-Man and Dungeons and Dragons and all
shit,
kinds
not
of shit.
He-Man.
Yeah, man, we're coming for He-Man.
God damn it.
Yeah.
All right, well, but first, the food. Let us pray. Bless us, O patrons, for these thy gifts which we are about to receive from thy donations through Patreon every month under the power of the V podcast.
Cult.
What is that?
They're homemade pizza pockets.
Hot pockets.
Basically, yep. So I did this because Dana said toys, think of Slumber Party, and at Slumber Party you always got pizza.
Hot pockets.
You're
Oh my
killing
God. How about, remember biting into a fucking Hot Pocket and burning the shit out of your mouth?
Yes.
And having like 3rd degree burns like down the, and like,
Yeah.
but still eating it and you're like,
Yeah. That's like
that?
my favorite. I literally did that last week. I made French onion soup and I was like...
and then
the cheese got on me and I was like, it's so hot.
And then you get like a bubble, like a blister bubble on your lip, and then
I've had that.
you burn all your taste buds off. So for like it feels like a sponge in your mouth for a few days.
That's
That
the
sucks.
worst.
I hope that's not the case with this.
That won't
No.
be the case.
It's been sitting for like an hour, so it's definitely not going to be
God
hot.
damn it! Can we get some hot food here?
Not if we talk
Stop
for so
talking.
long. Yeah.
All right, let's get this cold pizza.
What do you think about them pizza pockets?
There was something in there that is making the outside of my lips very tingly.
What are you allergic to now?
Girl,
There was mushrooms in there?
I
love
am not
them.
allergic to mushrooms. I love mushrooms.
I know. Is there a little spicy something? I didn't feel...
Mushrooms are the only reason
Nothing
I
was
know that I
spicy.
could pull off vegetarianism if it was
Mushrooms?
like everything had mushrooms.
I
in
could
it.
eat mushrooms.
Yeah.
You know how I feel about them.
What?
Mushrooms.
Yes,
I love
do.
them so much.
I mean, I do too.
I thought that was fantastic.
Thank
I could have eaten a whole nother one.
Oh yeah,
Easy.
yeah.
Just like right in front of the TV, like...
Yeah, that's a dangerous food because you just eat it like you don't even know that it's gone.
Yeah, I literally ate every bit of it and was like, oh, I guess who ate all this?
Where somebody stole my Hot Pocket.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Did you eat a lot of Hot Pockets as a kid?
As a kid, no. I had almost exclusively raised on a diet of red beans, rice, and red beans, white rice, and fried chicken every single
White rice
day.
specifically?
White rice specifically.
Occasionally, it would be alternated with some fried pork chops.
Yes, yes.
But them fried pork chops are good as hell, though.
Yes, but it is no nutritional value whatsoever.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't qualify Hot Pockets as like any particular nutritional value.
No, not at all.
We didn't have Hot Pockets either, but what I did eat a lot of as I was like a teenager, not when I was like a young kid, was bagel bites. Like,
see, I didn't have that either.
Loved
We
bagel
used to make
bites.
them at home.
Oh my
too.
God, yeah. We used to get those like cheapo like dollar bagels. They weren't quite the mini ones, but they weren't quite the big like good ones. And my friends, this is gross. This is going to be a gross white people thing.
Okay.
We would get stoned, of course, and we would toast those bagels. You know, just a plain regular bagel, and then you would put butter on it, and then you would put just like a squirt of ketchup, like.
Oh
right?
yeah, no, you
and
had
then
me
a
at-
piece of
yeah.
American cheese.
Nope.
And then we would put it in the microwave.
Nope.
And it would just like melt the cheese just a little bit.
Ugh, that sounds
And it was so fucking good.
because you were high.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
In no other scenario, unless you were starving.
I mean, I haven't had one in a long time, but there is an appeal to it that just like brings me back to my childhood where I'm like, yes, please. It's like steakums, right? Like steakums are fucking gross, but they're so good. They just like remind you of
I
like,
don't think I've ever had a steakum.
oh my God.
But let me tell you a little something. I grew up with no processed food in my house, and I felt like I was deprived.
You were.
But now thinking about it, I'm like, maybe not.
Okay, so I eat everything out of a can. Like, we always ate shit out of a can. Like, I had never even had asparagus that wasn't out of a can until I was, like, in my 20s.
What?
Truly. And the, this is gross, too, but, like, those canned yams, like, on holidays, you'd have, like, sweet potato casserole or
Yeah.
something. I didn't know that. I just thought they came in a can. Until I was, like, a full fucking adult.
They grew up out of the earth in a can.
In a
huh?
can, yeah. And they
How
were, like,
about
real soft and sweet.
Right.
And, like, real, but, like, I didn't know they didn't come in a can. Like, I just, when I saw them, I was like, why is this potato orange? Like, what the fuck? So we ate, like, that kind of, spaghetti. I didn't really ever like SpaghettiOs, but I liked, like, the Chef Boyardee, like, raviolis
Oh my God,
and shit.
yes. I
Yeah.
take it back. I grew up on that.
Yeah, that was good to me.
Yes.
But I particularly enjoyed cream of mushroom soup. Like, really loved it. And I would eat it like straight out of the can, like not even like
Oh, no.
put milk in it or whatever. And I had done that like a bunch of times in like a couple of days or whatever. And I was also probably like in high school area, so like I would just get like stoned and be like, I'm not gonna eat this. I'm just gonna eat the, like I would eat the Chef Boyardee right out of the can. I'd eat like a fucking hobo, right? I'd be like with the
my
can lid
God.
like up. And I would pick the ravioli out and just like eat the whole. You'd have to eat the whole circle edge, like, and then eat the like little cheese part, the meat part, whatever it was. But I ate too much of the cream of mushroom soup, and I had to go to the hospital because I was like throwing up cream of mushroom soup.
No.
And they were like, my dad was like, "You're on drugs," and I was like,
course.
I'm
Well,
not,
yes.
I'm not," but I was, but they were like, "What did you eat?" And I was like, "I had 3 cans of cream of mushroom soup," and they were like, "What?" And I was like, my dad's like, "You're lactose intolerant." I'm like, "I didn't use milk. I just ate it out of the can." They're like, "What?" What are you saying?
We're going to save the college money on this one.
Yeah, they did. Don't worry.
Honestly, I've never had cream of mushroom soup until like recent years.
Really?
Like very recent years.
Oh,
Also, though, I will
respect
admit.
my culture, bitch.
Also,
White people have a culture?
Yeah, it's cream of mushroom soup from a can.
I will say that I ate plenty of spaghetti and meatballs straight out of the can.
Yeah.
To the point that I have now recently prefer it straight out of the can. So like when I'm craving it, I may buy it like maybe 2-3 times a year.
Yeah.
I'll have it in the cupboard, and Danny knows I usually eat it straight out of the can, but she knows I get embarrassed, so
That's
I took it to
vile.
work. So she knows I was taking that to work. She unpacked it, put it in a container. She's like, "I know you didn't want to eat it straight out of the can in front of your coworker."
You're like, don't tell me what to do, bitch. It's just
Well, she was trying to save me my embarrassment, which, yes, because I was fully like, how am I going to eat this at work in front of my coworkers?
I did the other day. I brought one of those bag salads to work, and I just was like, "Do I bring a whole bowl, like a giant bowl, or whatever?"
That's
But I'm like,
exactly what I do. I bring a giant mixing bowl
Yeah.
and pour the entire salad in there and eat it.
I just
the
didn't
other
have it
day,
in me.
yesterday, a student walks in, the one that brought me the lollipops. She walks in and she's like, "Wow, that's a big salad."
Well, I cut the top off the bag.
Yes, me too.
dumped the
Of course.
into the bag.
Of course.
The croutons, the dressing, all.
Oh,
the
in
things.
the bag?
Shook it up.
Oh, that's
And then I just ate it right out of the bag and then
that's-
threw the bag in the trash. I was like, no dishes for me.
that's
Perfect.
savagery.
My Tammy, she's a listener of the podcast. She was like, "You're a fucking genius." I was like, I know. This is big brain thinking here.
I see that. Also, back to what we were talking about. You guys are straight up monsters. I would never think of eating the fucking spaghetti right out of the can. Have you never seen a mouse in there?
Well, what's the difference if you eat it from the can or you pour the mouse
Because
into
if
a
you
bowl?
pour the mouse out into a bowl, you can see the mouse before you fucking eat it.
I mean, I've
Monster?
never seen a mouse in the can. I think it's like a...
Urban legend?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
I think you would smell it. I would feel like you would smell it. The can would have a certain color.
Also, when you stick your fork in there, it's going to be
Yeah.
like hard and you're like, oh God, what's that?
Oh, no.
Lord, what is
no.
it? Especially cream and mushroom soup. That's real viscous, you know what I mean? Like, if there's something hard in cream and mushroom soup, we got a real problem. Even the mushrooms
yeah,
are soft, you know?
Yeah, the fact that you ate 3 cans.
I
though.
probably ate even more than that. I used to just eat it right out of the can. My parents would be like, where is all the cream and mushroom soup going? I'm like, what do you mean? I'm eating it. It's so good. I loved it. Like, I just love the way it tastes. Still, even now, like, I love cream and mushroom
Oh,
soup.
so bland.
I don't know. I just like it.
Oh,
I just like it.
I lost respect
Don't
for you.
insult her white people
I know.
culture.
Watch my culture, bitch. Don't yunk my yum.
Did you eat it with white bread? Just please say
No,
no.
just a spoon.
No, like I'm just saying, like, did you also have like a slice of white bread with
No,
butter
not
on
with
it?
cream and mushroom soup, no.
Oh God.
No, but with oodles and noodles, I usually do eat a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and a big glass of unsweetened iced tea. It used to be
find
sweet
that
when I was
very,
a kid.
very weird combination.
Yeah, people do find that strange, but I love it.
I didn't have peanut butter and jelly until I was like in my late 20s.
Same.
Or
Really?
grilled cheese sandwiches. I never
I don't
ate
like
that
really
stuff.
grilled
I never ate grilled cheese.
Yes, grilled cheese. Yes, peanut butter jelly. No, because also not my culture.
We're Puerto Rican. Like we were
You guys
eating
don't have
like
peanut butter?
yuca. We were eating plantains. We were
Yeah.
eating
I do wish I was eating plantains.
Yeah, we were
earlier.
eating things like that. Like we were maybe eating blood sausage, you know what I mean? And
Not-
chitlins.
Yeah, maybe chitlins.
Yikes.
Or pig's feet. But like we weren't eating peanut butter and jelly.
Well, now, so like some of that though, like it does like loop back around to white culture because like I would go to my pop-up's house
Yeah.
and that motherfucker would be chomping on a pig foot and I'd
Yeah.
be like, sir, this is a Wendy's.
Also not the same as what we would eat. The way we would eat it.
No, they would eat it pickled. Like it would be like
No.
real
Yeah,
sour
no.
smelling
Yeah,
and
no.
like
No, we like put that in like beans or stews or something
Yeah.
like
he
that.
would eat it
and
like I think that like if I remember correctly, like I did not eat that. My mom was like horrified, but we would
I just want to remind the listeners that this is a true crime podcast.
yeah.
We're just on a tangent.
Yeah, we're on a Pigfoot tangent at this point. But I remember him like digging in his like old man hands into like a not a can but like a mason jar.
jar.
Yeah.
Oh.
And it had like pickling liquid or something in
Yeah.
there. And he
a
would
pig's
just
foot.
like pull
A
out
big
a
old toenail
big
on
ass
it.
foot on like a foot. And I would be like,
A hoof.
"Sir, that is oh my god."
So good though. Not the pickled thing. I don't know. I've never tried it, but the way that we eat it, delicious.
honest, my mom has made it for us recently, and she always sends a little bit to Danny's dad, who's Puerto Rican,
Yeah.
and he tears it up.
Where does one acquire a pig's foot?
Right at the supermarket.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes, it's a very common thing. It's
You
like
can also
right there.
you can also find snouts and ears.
Well, I did see those
Yeah.
when I went to the market the one time. And Gage
Yes.
was like a little kid, and he was like, grabbed onto my shirt, was like, "Mom, there's a pig's head right there." And I'm like, "Don't look at it in the eye. Just keep moving."
But also, you also find tripe.
oh yeah, I love
Yeah.
tripe. I like
Yeah,
tripe.
I haven't had that since I was a teenager.
That sounds really horrifying.
It's a texture issue,
You know how I feel about that.
but the flavor, the sauce, it's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Oh my god. My ex-husband loves Puerto Rican food, and the first time he ever came over to the house, my grandmother gave him a big old bowl of tripe, and he was like, so good." He ate the whole thing, but he hated every second of it.
My ex is Vietnamese, and like we would go to their house or her family's house,
Yeah.
and they would eat Vietnamese food. And most of it was just fine.
Right.
Pho and
Right.
like, noodles and things that were very delicious and not even that crazy.
Right.
But there was a very huge language barrier.
Really?
So I would be like, is it spicy? Or like, how spicy is
Right.
it? And then be like, oh, she said it's stinky. And I'm like, I didn't say that. That's not what I said. I'm like, is it hot? Is it spicy? Like, and then it would just be like, I'm like, I don't care how spicy it is. Just give it, I'll eat it. I'm like, it's so good. I'm like, I'm like sweating every like orifice off of me. Like every pore in my back is like dripping sweat. I'm like, it's so good. Because they fucking thought I said their food was smelly. And I like did not get over it for like
They thought
3
you were
years.
racist.
Yeah, they were like, she said it's smelly. I'm like, I didn't say it. Tell him I didn't say that. And she would just be cracking up like, it's not funny. This is horrifying for me.
Everything's horrifying for you. Anywho.
I'm sensitive.
I see. Oh my God. The Hawaiian punch that we're drinking?
Yes.
Hello. What's in this?
It's actually Kool-Aid. So
Like actual Kool-Aid?
it's actually Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
There's no liquor in this?
There is liquor. So be
Bitch,
careful.
I can't taste any of the
No,
liquor.
it's good, yeah.
I know. We made it right. So it's my own recipe because what do you do when parents are out of the house and you have access to the liquor cabinet? You mix it with whatever you find.
Spike the Kool-Aid.
You spike the Kool-Aid. So
Well,
I spiked the
shit.
Kool-Aid with coconut rum and triple sec. I added pineapple juice to it, and it's
Oh my
basically
God.
That's it.
So good.
It's really good.
It's red Kool-Aid. That's
Yeah.
the flavor.
I
Red.
hope you're going to get a little Kool-Aid mustache. Yeah, it's
Can't,
red.
not with
Yeah.
this. Not with a wine glass.
Girl, you've had mustaches with red wine literally every time we've had red wine on this podcast.
All right, fine. Out me. Jesus. Oh, speaking of drinking the Kool-Aid.
Uh-huh.
I am watching a show.
Tell us about it.
Fucking take notes.
Okay.
It's called Bad Sisters.
Okay.
And it's a British... No, it's not. They are Irish.
Irish.
So it's an Irish show. It's on...
Jesus Christ, don't
What?
start your shit.
Stop it.
Is Britain in Ireland?
Shush.
Where's Ireland? Is it in the UK? You don't know?
No, it's wait. Ireland.
Don't
Ireland
confuse her.
Don't
It's
start.
half and half.
is in England. Some of it is owned by the Queen thing. And
All of
some of
that is
it is
not true.
independent.
And also the
Oh,
queen.
close, you're close.
Also the queen thing is rest
It's
in
a
peace.
king now, yeah.
No, I know that. Right.
Right. But
No, I'm
it's
just
not
saying
in
the
England.
monarchy, it's, yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Right.
It's not in England? Yes, it is in
Not
England.
in England. It's not in England.
It's the UK.
It's owned by, like,
It's-
part of it, except Northern Ireland. Part of it is, like,
Oh, I meant to say Europe. I always do that. I confuse England with Europe. What I meant to say is Europe. It's in Europe.
Yes.
It's in Europe.
I think that's
what I
probably
meant
true.
to say.
Yeah.
English is not my first language.
That's really
that's-
rude. That's really rude of you
That's
to
what I'm
do.
saying.
Wow. You're going
That's what I'm
to
gonna-
land on that one hard?
Yes,
All right.
that's the tree
Perfect.
I'm dying on.
You know, you
Is
can't
that the
die.
same thing I'm gonna die on because English is not my first language either.
Also, you assholes can't be like, English is not my first language, and then be like, Puerto Rico is an American territory.
no, but we don't speak English in Puerto Rico like we speak Spanish. It's Spanish.
No, I understand how that
Anywho,
works.
moving on, Dana. Thank you for freaking belittling me. I feel racist.
You are racist.
No, I feel like I meant to say I feel like you're racist, but English is not my first language. So, like I was saying, it's an Irish show, and it's about Irish sisters. And one Irish sister is married to a total dick.
Okay.
And he's just like a fucking psychopath. He's so fucking bad. So the sisters, and I'm not giving anything away by telling you this, the sisters are plotting to kill him.
Okay.
And so they're making attempt after attempt at killing him.
Okay.
Okay. So it's like a whole show based on these women collaborating to kill this man. And everybody wants him dead. I
Really?
mean, you would not be like, oh no, this man needs to live. No, he absolutely needs to die. But it's such a fun watch, and it's on Apple TV, and I can't get enough of it. It's so fucking good.
Really?
So fucking good.
Well, that sounds fun.
Yes, it's so good.
So if you don't have an Apple phone, how do you watch on Apple TV? Not you personally, but like me particularly.
You just put it on your TV. It's like Netflix.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
They have really good shows.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have really good shows that have won like Emmys and shit.
Really?
Yeah, it's really good. They have good stuff.
Well,
Yeah,
so that sounds fun. It sounds like you have literally every channel plus cable.
I do.
It's iconic.
Yeah, I do. I have literally every.
I can't even imagine what you're like. All of your cable bills.
We don't even watch it.
Yeah, I can't imagine. I can't even imagine you would. Like, when would you find the time?
No, we have so many subscription shit.
Yeah.
Like, it's not even funny. Yeah, and speaking of shows, right now.
Yeah.
In New Jersey.
Yes.
The Watcher came out just in, the Watcher series on Netflix is like blowing up, and people, even though they didn't use the actual house to film, it's a different house. People have been looking up the whole story about the Watcher, and they are freaking like they're passing by, they're getting pictures taken in front of the house.
People,
and, like,
the neighbors
people
were like
are
complaining.
Fucking pissed.
Yeah. So we talked. I could not tell you what episode we talked about that, but Cindy like brought it up in like when she, on Wine Dining Storytime when she used to do the little like stories in the middle.
Yeah.
And I remember you like bringing it up back then and saying like it was coming to Netflix and I saw that the neighbors are like really pissed that people are.
Well, they and not only are they pissed because people are driving through this quiet neighborhood.
Yeah.
Also,
what's wrong with people?
I mean, right?
So, what's such a weird thing to do?
Also, in the actual story, they definitely exaggerated everything.
Oh, really?
It's to the point that some people that know the full background of the story are like, can't finish watching it because they just elevated.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that I know that now, because when I would have been watching it, I would have been thinking, oh, this is documentary kind of like story, but it's not. It's a series. It's a show. It's entertainment.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just like if you watch it, make sure to keep that in mind. That now they did read the letters word for word.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't watch the show yet.
Imagine that you are fucking living in a house that has a history like that. You don't feel safe. People are getting out of their car to take pictures on your fucking porch. Like, no.
Does someone live there?
Yeah,
people live there now.
Yeah,
that's very crazy.
Yeah, no, it's not cool. It's not cool.
Let's have dessert.
Yes.
Oh, it's chocolate covered potato chips.
Chocolate covered potato chips because you get potato chips and you get chocolate and you get your ice cream.
Oh.
I'm into this.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, I'm into this.
Never had it.
No?
Nope.
You're gonna love it.
All right.
A little sweet, a little savory.
Do you put it in the ice cream?
Sure, why not?
I just gave you that option.
Okay.
Let's go.
Let's go.
So you never had a chocolate covered potato chip before?
Never.
Do you love it?
I love it.
They usually are done with Ruffles, and it's a little bit of a heartier chip, but a kettle chip works just as good. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I love a kettle chip.
That's a hearty chip.
Yeah, I fucking love kettle chips.
Yeah.
I am into a chocolate covered potato chip. Didn't even need the ice cream, but nice little bonus. Love that from you.
I needed the ice cream.
Love the energy. Do you?
Uh-huh.
Well, I get yelled at quite a bit when I don't bring you ice cream when you feel like you should have it. And I felt like,
but
this
yeah,
was
like
on top of ice cream.
This was essentially what I would have eaten at a sleepover would have been a bowl of ice cream,
right,
potato chips, and some sort of chocolate situation. So absolutely, this was 100% would have nailed it in the 90s with like some red Kool-Aid.
With liquor in it? At your house.
I never drank before I was 21. I was a perfect angel. I'm not sure why you're insinuating otherwise.
We should be leaning back so that only she gets struck by the lightning.
Yes. So, Dana, I hear you have a story to tell us.
I do have a story to tell you.
No way.
Yeah. Do you want to hear it?
What a surprise.
Weird, right?
Yes. Now, we've been sitting here a while just shooting the shit. Mm-hmm. I mean, you don't know this as a listener.
Because I cut the shit out.
Right. So you better wow me, bitch.
I don't know why you're putting that kind of pressure on this situation.
All right, come on. Let's hear this. Let's hear this wow of a story.
Okay.
Let's take a pause for the peculiar. Welcome to a place where we deconstruct conspiracy theories. We unwind unsolved mysteries, break down the bizarre, and discuss all things horror. Hey guys, it's Liz. I'm a career horror fanatic obsessed with the darker side of things. I've been a writer my whole life, and ever since I realized I drew inspiration from the unexplainable, my infatuation was born. The macabre is a way of life for me. I spend my days researching weird and creepy things to inspire my next short story. Join me each week as we take a pause for the peculiar.
So I have a ton of sources today. The first one I did not pay for, and I'm going to tell you why. This is not a book that anyone should pay for.
Oh.
It's called Turmoil in the Toybox by Phillips. A book I did pay for and read was The Dungeon Master, The Disappearance of James Dallas Egbert III. A Slate article, YouTube, Priceonomics.com, TokyoToyBastard.blogspot.com, a Vice article, NathanArabian.com, Medium.com, and a bunch of Wikipedia articles.
Got it. All of these will be in the show notes.
Yes, tons of sources this week. One of the most common tactics to get people to be convinced to join a side or another is to appeal to the danger of the children, right? What about the babies?
children.
What about the children? We must protect the children.
Right. Fuck the children, I say.
We can't expose them to the devil or the gays or, God forbid, anything fun.
I mean,
We must keep them safe, and we must control all the ways that they could potentially have fun and keep them out of mortal danger.
okay.
Or moral danger, one may say.
Moral. But they're synonymous.
Very, exactly. Probably one of the earliest in recent memory would be the Ouija board, right?
Oh my God, yeah.
A frequent target of the anti-occult propaganda, was first sold as a standard board game in the end of the 19th century. That is until Pearl Corin claimed to have contacted a spirit named Patrice Worth through her Ouija board in 1913. She's the first one that we know of.
How old was she?
Like a kid, I guess. And people lost their damn minds, right? I still have never played with a Ouija board. And honestly, even though I know it's a game, like, I'll pass. Like,
Really? Because
yeah.
I'll bring it right over.
No. Well, I'll go do it at your house, but we're not doing it here.
No, we can't do it at my house.
Exactly. It's like, go ahead.
I am so surprised you've never played this.
I don't even know if I've ever actually, like, seen one in real life that wasn't just, like, in Kmart or something.
I have it at my house.
Really?
Yes, I have two, actually.
Well, we're having a Halloween party this week. We should play it in your backyard.
Because somebody brought one over to my house as a fun little game, and so it hasn't
Did you
left
play
the
it?
box. No, I don't play that shit in my house.
And that's what I'm saying, right? Like, it's in our, like, brains to, like,
Milton
not
Bradley.
do that shit, right? Yeah.
What the hell?
It was Hasbro, actually.
Oh, is it Hasbro?
Yeah. But it's in us, right? To not.
I've played it once.
In your house?
You, the scaredest of us all.
Why do you think? No, I've played it once.
At the next door neighbor's house?
One of the neighbor's house. Yes, we were at her grandmother's house.
Oh my God, that's why her neighbor's house burnt down.
No, not
my
that
God.
neighbor. Not that neighbor. It was a neighborhood kid that I was
Okay.
friends with. I was probably like 10. We played it.
Did you summon?
No, we didn't summon
Did you
anything. But we asked, like, what year will we die and all of those stupid questions.
Right.
Like,
So
What year
what
are you
year?
dying?
I'm not saying
It hasn't happened yet?
it has not happened. The year has not come along.
Oh my God.
Do you remember?
Obviously, it has not happened yet.
Well,
'cause
then I
am
would be like,
still
oh, okay,
alive.
good. It hasn't happened yet. But if the
No,
year hasn't come.
No.
I'm scared for you.
No.
Oh my God.
So, well, I have to move on from this. This is very upsetting to me. In the 70s and 80s, influential far-right groups like the Moral Majority and the PMRC, the Parents Music Resource Center, were grasping to hang on to any bit of control that they could of consumer culture and entertainment media.
Right.
Okay?
They sound fun.
Yeah, and they went after everything from music to children's toys to protect the children from the devil and his satanic army.
And their kids were probably raising hell.
Oh, yeah. Oddly specific timing considering the 60s and 70s brought us the sexual revolution as well as the second wave of feminism. We saw women gaining freedom not only over their bodies, but the ability to create and raise families or choose not to in any way that they wanted to. And then, bam! What about the children? Women can't work. Who are going to raise all these babies? We need you barefoot and pregnant and under our control. And simply no.
Right.
Who made these women think that they wanted freedom? Satan. Duh. And then what do we have? We get the satanic panic and a huge swing back to the right. It just is the way the world works, you know?
Yeah, but the 80s, like, granted, the 80s, the 70s, 80s, and early 90s, There was a lot of serial killers and kidnappings, and people were just buck wilding.
Well, also, like, you know, the satanic panic came, you know, with Reagan, and, like, it was a big swing back to the other direction, you know? So the Parents Music Resource Center was an American committee formed in 1985 with the stated goal of increasing parental control over the access for children to music that they deemed violent, drug-related, or to have sexual themes, and they wanted to label it with that parental advisory sticker.
Right.
So the committee was founded by 4 women known as the Washington Wives.
Oh.
And this is
Tipper Gore?
Yes, this is a reference to their husbands and the connection with government in Washington, D.C. area. The women who founded the PMRC are Tipper Gore, wife of Vice President Al Gore, Susan Baker, wife of Treasury Secretary James Baker, Pam Hauer, wife of Washington Realtor Raymond Hauer, and Sally Nevis, wife of Washington City Council Chairman John Nevis. Okay, so these are the 4 women. Which, like, also to be, like, the Washington Wives, like, this very, like, taking a step back of, like, we're the wives behind our husbands. Like, it's gross. You're so gross.
You are the wind beneath my wings.
The group's formation was cemented with the help of Mike Love from the Beach Boys and Joseph Coors of Coors Beer. So, like, I guess they're, like, funded by these guys. Or, like, backed by them. Which is like, what, guys? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, like, the least likely to, like, what?
Yeah. So basically the group went after the music industry because sex is bad and we should not talk about sex. They comprised a list of 15 artists or groups that they specifically targeted as proof that the music industry was out to get the children, and they fucking ran with it. Okay? They called it the Filthy 15. I'm going to tell you who they are.
Can I take a guess?
Yeah, go for it.
The 2 Live Crew?
No.
No?
No.
Me So Horny?
Mm-mm. No. That might have been after.
Shit. All right.
So Prince with Darling Nikki. Sheena Easton with Sugar Walls.
What?
Judas Priest with Eat Me Alive.
Ooh.
Vanity, Strap On Robbie Baby.
Ooh.
Motley Crue, Bastard. AC/DC, Let Me Put My Love Into You. Yikes. Twisted Sister, We're Not Gonna Take It.
Salt and Pepper, Push It.
I don't think they're on here either. Madonna, Dress You Up. Wasp. The song's called Animal, Fuck Like a Beast.
Ooh.
Def Leppard, High and Dry. Merciful Fate, Into the Coven. Black Sabbath with Trashed. Mary Jane Girls, In My House. Venom, Possessed.
Not the Mary Jane Girls.
Yeah.
In My House.
Yeah, that song.
Yeah.
And Cyndi Lauper, She Bop. This is the Filthy 15.
Shit, now I see it. I was out here as a wee little one just singing these songs that were like, I did not know I was being sexualized into this whore that I am today.
You weren't.
So silly. I didn't even know what the fuck they were saying.
Also, if you watch, there's obviously, this shit goes all the way to the Senate, right? And it is how we get those parental advisory stickers on like CDs and shit. Like you probably remember when that happened. But if you watch like YouTube videos of that Senate hearing, these bands, like the guy from Twisted Sister, shows up in court and fucking decimates them. Like he's so smart, he's well spoken.
I think I remember him.
Yeah, and he like really like takes them to task on like censorship and like freedom of speech and all of this shit.
Because they were literally not going to take it.
Yeah, he wasn't. Yeah.
Right.
So anyway, the Moral Majority was an American political organization associated with the Christian right and the Republican Party. It was founded in 1979 by Baptist minister Jerry Falwell Sr.
Oh my God, not the Falwell.
Yeah. It played a key role in the mobilization of conservative Christians as a political force, and particularly the Republican Party and its presidential victories throughout the 80s, like Reagan and Bush.
And honestly, the worst part of the Republican Party is that right.
And guess what they hated?
Everything fun.
They hated fun.
Yeah.
They're the fun suckers, and not in the good way.
No. Fun suckers?
Yeah. Not unless they get caught in it anyway. And like, that's a story for a different day. Because Jerry Falwell Jr. Anyway, the good Reverend Jerry Falwell fucking hates the Teletubbies. He fucking hates them. Particularly Tinky Winky.
Yes.
Why? Because he thinks Tinky Winky is gay. Controversy arose in 1999 concerning Tinky Winky and him carrying a bag that looks too much like a woman's handbag, a purse, if you will.
Okay.
It began in July with a letter to the British popular culture magazine, The Face. And Sussex University lecturer Andy Medhurst wrote, Tinky Winky may be the first queer role model for toddlers. In what I'm assuming was like a satire article. Like, I don't think he was like particularly being like, Tinky Winky's gay and the toddlers will love him, you know?
Right. No. Was it in response to Falwell?
No, this was what gets Falwell to like get all wound up.
Got it,
this article. Well, and then a few days later, The Guardian announces that the purple Teletubby is a gay icon who prances around in a particularly campy way. Like, campy like gay, you know?
Oh, wow.
And the Brits flip out, and across the pond, the next few months, dozens of talk shows, radio programs, and newspapers hotly debate the sexuality of this children's show character.
Fucking Teletubby.
They lose their fucking minds over, like, an asexual, like, purple alien with a television on its tummy.
Also,
it's literally got a television on its tummy. Like,
right. Also, we had Bert and Ernie literally sleeping together.
Rubber ducking together and washing each other's back in the tub.
Yeah.
Like, come on, guys. Enter Jerry Falwell.
Parents, be very careful what your children are watching. They watch 20 to 35 hours of television weekly. Be sure that subtle and bad images are not being planted in their minds.
Tinky Winky is a boy, but Falwell's magazine says the fact he carries a purse suggests he's homosexual. Falwell's journal also points out Tinky Winky's purple and sports an inverted triangle on his head, both symbols of gay pride.
Is that really a symbol of gay pride?
Yeah.
Oh.
Because during the Holocaust, when people got put into concentration camps, they put upside down triangles on their...
Oh, because they were...
Because that meant that
they were gay.
Like, identified them as homosexual, yeah. People have co-opted that as more of, like, a positive symbol now.
Right,
but,
right.
Yeah. Chill the fuck out, Jerry Falwell. Like, literally. He warned parents that Tinky Winky could be a covert homosexual symbol because, like the sound says, he's purple. That's the color of gay pride. And his antenna is an upside down triangle, and that's a pride symbol.
Okay.
And he carries a purse, which is very gay.
Oh my god, it's so gay.
Boys can't carry a
almost like
purse.
a briefcase, but
he carries it on his, like, right in the crook of his elbow, and he prances around.
Yeah.
Which is pretty gay.
oh yeah.
BBC had to make an official response explaining that Tinky Winky is simply a sweet, technological baby with a magic bag.
And also not real.
And also not real. Ken Visselman of Itsy Bitsy Entertainment commented, he's not gay, he's not straight, he is a character in a children's series.
Like, thank you very much.
People had to, like, literally, like, bigwigs in, like, entertainment had to be like, guys, stop.
Chill the fuck out.
He's, like, literally got a television on his stomach and there's a baby for a son. Like, what are you saying?
That baby was shady as fuck.
Who the hell knows what Jerry Falwell's plans were to, like, rile up his lunatic army, but despite all his efforts, Tinky Winky was the only fictional character in the 2008 inaugural Happy List, alongside 99 real-life people that were recognized for making Britain a better place that year.
Wow.
Yeah. So then, 1986, a book comes out by the man that I said in the beginning of the sources, Phil Phillips. And now our old pal, Phil, is an evangelical Christian, and the Lord told him that he should go on a fast for 14 days.
The Lord.
The Lord, yeah.
I wish the Lord would tell me that.
Yeah. So while he's on this fast, he wanders into a toy store. I guess from lack of hunger or something.
He was looking for little kids.
Like lack of food.
He was looking for little kids to diddle.
Maybe when you see this guy, like, good Lord. So he sees a toy of Skeletor, like one of the first, when he first walks in. And he realizes that the cartoon He-Man is packed with satanic occult references. And he is shocked that the consumer culture is attacking the children in this way. And this simply will not do. Can't have it. He buys the toy. He throws it in his back seat, and days later, the Lord speaks to him again, and he tells him he must protect the children or some shit, and so he writes a book. Okay, so that's the book Turmoil in the Toybox. You can, if you so choose, it's like on the archive library on the internet. You can just download it.
Ugh.
It's real ugly.
I bet.
Hard to read. But this book not only attacks He-Man for claiming that he's the strongest in the universe, but he goes after a ton of other toys. And we have a little clip where I guess Phil is like on a tour with like Christian people like promoting his book. So he's being interviewed by this pastor, Dr. J.L. Greenwald. First of all, it's 80s-tastic, okay?
Okay.
And the two men are sitting discussing all the occult symbols that are found in toys and how the devil is coming for the children.
Right.
Star Wars borrowed the Force from witchcraft. Scooby-Doo's paranormal investigations were really endorsements of the occult. And the Smurfs are undead, transgendered, and gay.
All of those things? But they had a
So
girl.
much.
But they were blue, which is like the color of dead people, and their lips are black, which is gay somehow. I don't know. It's probably all the dick sucking, I guess.
What the hell?
We're talking about satanic things here.
The Lord spoke to me. God isn't master of the universe. He-Man is.
Can you say that again? Because I think that's a real key here.
Mommy, God isn't master of the universe. He-Man is.
Can you tell me what's going on?
The Lord directed me to go on a 14-day fast.
I can hardly believe what I'm seeing here.
He-Man has more power than Jesus.
He-Man is the master of the universe?
He-Man has more power than Jesus.
Skeletor, the master of the universe.
Wait, why?
I don't know.
Why did he
this
say
goes on
that?
for 90 minutes.
No, it
Yes,
doesn't.
it does. It goes on for 90 minutes.
couldn't.
He has all these toys. He's got the Skeletor toy that
And
where
he's
he's going
playing with
Skeletor. He's saying it into the microphone.
No.
He's like, and he has this big ass mustache.
Of course, because he was
and they're,
looking for diddlers.
Like, sweaters like they're from the Cosby Show or
Yes,
whatever.
they are.
And he's like, Skeletor. It is so much. It's so extra, bro. It's so bad. This guy fucking hates toys, bro. He hates every toy. He hates every cartoon. He hates Rainbow Bright. He hates...
Yeah.
I mean, I couldn't even... the list goes on and on and on. 200 pages of the toys this motherfucker thinks you should not be allowed to play with.
What can you play with, bud?
Probably...
A cross?
Yeah. I was going to say something way worse.
What?
Nothing good.
A little boy. He's got to be a diddler. Why else would a grown man be in a toy store?
I don't know. So probably one of the games that has come under attack from Christians and the far right.
Can I take a guess?
Yeah.
Dungeons and Dragons.
Dungeons and Dragons. That's right. Dungeons and Dragons, or D&D, is a fantasy tabletop role-playing game originally designed by Gary Gygax and Dave Arneson.
Really?
Yeah, just two guys. The game was first published in 1974, and it derived from miniature war games. So D&D is commonly recognized as being the beginning of modern role-playing games, and also has deeply influenced video games, especially role-playing, like, group games that you see.
Okay. I've never seen it played, and I've never played it.
I'm going to explain it a little bit to you, because it's, like, not really even what I thought it was like.
Right. I mean, my only knowledge of Dungeons and Dragons is from the show Stranger Things.
Oh, did you not watch Big Bang Theory? 'Cause
Yeah, I
they do
did.
like an episode that's really good. That was where I sort of like got the concept.
Maybe that
Yeah.
and the other one.
Stranger Things, yeah. And I think Stranger Things recently has like created a whole new younger level of kids that
probably.
are playing it because it seems cool and fun, I guess.
Yeah. I wouldn't say it seems cool.
I think people are really into
Seems
it.
fun.
Yeah, well, whatever. D&D is different from traditional wargaming by allowing each player to create their own character instead of playing like in military formation.
Okay.
So these characters embark upon imaginary adventures with fantasy settings while a dungeon master serves as the game's referee and storyteller. The characters form a party and they interact with the settings like inhabitants, like people that live like in this fantasy world, and they interact with each other to solve problems, fight in battles, explore, gather treasures, knowledge, whatever. In the process, the characters earn experience points in order to like rise in levels, and they become increasingly powerful over many seasons, having games last like indefinitely if the players want them to. Like people come play week after week after week, months for years, and as long as their characters don't die, like they can just keep playing. So before the game begins, each player creates their character, determining their strength, constitution, dexterity, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma.
Okay. Sounds like RuPaul's Drag Race.
Yes. Each edition of the game has different methods on how to determine the scores, whatever. Each player chooses a race, which is like a species. So like a human or elf or like an ogre or orc. Or
Okay.
something. Each character has a class, which is an occupation like a fighter or a wizard, and alignment, which is like a moral or ethical outlook, and other features that round out the character's abilities and backstory. Like, it's fucking in-depth.
It seems complex.
It comes with, like, each character, that you build this whole story, this world around it. It's very, like, my son has been playing for, like a summer and a half now with his cousins.
Okay.
And, like, he, like, shows me pictures of his person, and he shows me where this person lives, and they come from a castle, and, like...
Wait, how can he show you pictures of something that's in a
Because they,
board
like,
game?
have... It's not a board game. It's, like... I mean, I guess it's sort of a board game, but, like, they create their own characters, and then, like, he had somebody draw a picture up for him, or, like, paid somebody to draw a picture up for him. So, like, it's a whole thing.
Right.
So anyway, during the game, players describe their characters' intended actions, like punching an opponent or like picking a lock or something. And they talk about this with the dungeon master, who tells them if they can or cannot do it.
Okay.
Small things like picking up a letter or opening an unlocked door, usually they just let them do that. But if it's a more complex or risky action, they have to like roll the dice, which I'm sure you've seen a million times, that like many-sided dice, right? And then that determines if they can do it or not. I could go on and on explaining D&D, but that's like the basics, and like not really, because I'm totally talking about my ass. This is all what Wikipedia said it is.
Right.
That is like my understanding of the game. Anyway, as you can imagine, people are like, what? You have to use your brain to play this game? We don't throw a ball and tackle people on the ground? What is this sorcery?
Right.
Why game take so long? Why so obsessed with game? No, must be devil.
Also, why dungeon? Why dragon?
Why dragon? Why magic?
Right.
This cannot be good. But something then happened that did not help the fate of D&D and its reputation.
Wonderful. Somebody ruined it for everybody, and now we all got to stay in for recess.
That's right. James Dallas Egbert III disappeared from Michigan State University's dormitory on August 15th, 1979, without a trace. This kid. In 1979, it was likely that if you did not play D&D, you probably did not know about D&D. Or like maybe you'd heard of it, but like you just really didn't know anything about it. And until this case got national coverage, many people, this is the first time they'd ever heard of D&D.
Right.
So James Dallas Egbert III was born on October 29th, 1962 in Dayton, Ohio. And he grew up in Huber Heights and attended Wayne High School. He was a child prodigy. It was said that his IQ was somewhere between 170 and 190.
Holy shit.
He's a fucking genius. And he graduated high school at the age of 13, and he entered Michigan State University at 16, where he majored in computer science, although he was offered a full ride to MIT.
Damn, that's tough.
Yeah, he chose MSU because they had a better, like, gifted program or something. His mother would say she didn't know how to deal with a gifted kid, and she admits that maybe she pushed him a little too hard. He was excited to tell her that he got a 3.5 in one of his classes, and she told him it should have been a 4.0, and that was one of the last things she said to him before he went missing.
Oh, no.
Yeah. On August 15th, 1979, after writing what police to be was a suicide note, Dallas left his dormitory at Case Hall. On August 22nd, his parents hired investigator William Deere to help locate their son because they were not happy with the police or the campus security or how things were handled, considering Michigan State had not even notified them that her son was missing until August 20th, 5 days after he had last been seen.
Wow.
Yeah. And also, he's 16.
Right.
Like, this is a child at a college.
Right.
Like, whether he's a genius or not, like,
He's still a
probably
kid.
should have been, somebody should have been watching him a
Right.
little bit more than, like, maybe what you were watching the 20-year-olds, you
Yeah.
know? So according to Deere, their first conversation with his mother, she raised the possibility that her son died by suicide. And she said, like, she's the one that tells this story, like, I fucked up, like, I've been pushing him too hard, like, I don't know
Right.
what to do with him, like. All of this information about this story I got directly from his book, the investigator.
Okay.
He began to work with the police and the school, but the school was not helpful. The police were like, we're swamped. We're not really looking for a missing kid. You know, they were a little bit, but like they weren't going to put in the effort because they're like overworked, underpaid, you know, understaffed.
Fucking 1970s.
Yeah. And like, as far as they were concerned, like he probably just ran away.
Ugh.
And the college was not being helpful. They're just like,
Oh, well.
just not really being helpful at all. They weren't
Right.
like this. Apparently this investigator, like the way he describes it in the book, like he went to the media to be like, the school is not being helpful, and he forces the school to become helpful because this case begins to get national coverage.
Okay.
You know, because it's so kind of weird.
Also, it makes a great story. It's a genius boy in a high school that goes missing.
In a college.
That goes missing.
So upon his investigation, Deere would find out that Dallas, his name is James Dallas Egbert, he goes by Dallas. That Dallas was really isolated since he was so young. Many of his classmates either didn't realize how young he was or how intelligent he was. And after he goes missing, like, people were sort of being like, oh, that's why he was, like, so weird, or, like, so, like, that's why his mannerisms were, we didn't realize he was 16, and he was, like, hanging out with 20-year-olds, and they were just like,
right.
Oh, that's why he acted so juvenile, because he was actually a kid, you know?
Right.
He wouldn't really maybe say that he was 16, or that he was so smart. So he was sort of off-putting, I think, a little bit. So on August 24th, Michael Stewart, a journalist for the university's paper, The State News, published details of the case, including that one of Dallas's friends said that he was known to leave the campus before to destinations unknown. Okay. Stewart's article prompted growing media attention in Dallas's disappearance. During his private investigation, Deere was beginning to, find things out about Dallas's life, but it was like pulling teeth. Okay, like nobody wanted to come forward, even the parents, about things about his life. People were reluctant to come forward because Dallas being only 16, if something had happened to him or something happened because they were doing something illegal, it was like, also you're endangering a child. Also you were doing these things with a kid. You know what I mean? Right. So it's like,
Right. Like if they were drinking, like,
Yeah, you're drinking with a 16-year-old, right. Even the parents were a little evasive with, like, silly things, like not saying that he had a seizure disorder, like, because I guess they were embarrassed that, back then it was like,
really?
Oh, he has a seizure disorder. That means, like, something's wrong with him. But that could mean, like, he could have had a seizure somewhere. He could be hurt,
right.
But people do start to come forward, and always with, I will talk to you, but it needs to be anonymous. I need you to make sure you're not going to say.
Well, that's so weird.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you'll find out why in a second. The story starts to come together about Dallas. So we know he's so smart, right? He's wildly depressed because he's lonely.
Right.
We discover he's under a lot of pressure from his parents, and at best, like, that's not easy, right? Dallas begun experimenting with drugs.
No.
The genius little kid quickly learns how to make angel dust and PCP.
No. Wow.
Yeah. Because he's fucking smart. So he, like, learns the chemical compound and he just makes it. Yeah.
Also, what's the recipe? I'm just kidding.
He's also part of some groups on campus. One of these groups is a live game of D&D where the players would go down into these steam tunnels under the school and act out the game instead of playing it tabletop.
No.
This whole tunnel system under the school. Huge, miles long.
That sounds creepy as hell.
It is creepy, and it's a big reason why the school will not be cooperative, because they keep being like, you can't get into the tunnels, you can't get into the tunnels. And then the kids were coming forward, like, we're in the tunnels.
Yeah.
We play there all the time. We sometimes, even when it's cold, we take the tunnels from class to class so we don't have to walk in the snow. Like,
what?
We are in the tunnels, bitch.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So the media gets a hold of this and they go wild, saying that a D&D game got out of hand. Maybe he got hurt during a game. They left him out. Like, all of these things, you know? Another one of the groups that he is involved in is an LGBT group. And this is because Dallas is gay.
Oh.
And this is also a reason why a lot of people will not come forward, because he's a gay 16-year-old boy.
Right.
And they're like, if he was having sex with anybody at the school, like, they're having sex with a kid, whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't even think of that.
And gayness, like in 79, is like, absolutely no.
No.
And also gayness with a little boy, young boy.
It was a lot.
It's a lot of problems here, yeah. So after Deere learned that Dallas had played Dungeons & Dragons, he publicly amplified the police's theory that Dallas's disappearance was linked to the game. Maybe he got hurt in the tunnels. Maybe the dungeon master, like, created this thing and he, like, made him die. Whatever. All these very wild.
Right.
Whatever. Now, he doesn't say that specifically in the book. This is in articles I've read. He writes this book later. And, like, I think he does feel bad about the way the D&D thing fell out, because he, like, eventually plays a game of D&D to try to, like, understand what.
Right.
Like, the way he describes it in the book, because he doesn't think Dallas is dead. He doesn't think he killed himself. He thinks maybe he was, like, sometimes he's going back and forth. Maybe he was kidnapped. Maybe he was kidnapped the recipe for the PCP. Maybe he was kidnapped because he's super smart. Maybe he was kidnapped by gay people because he's, like, this, like, token, like, really smart like all of these theories, right?
Okay.
But he also thinks if he's a runaway, because like when they go into his dorm, there's like this map of the school with all these like push pins and like strings and shit. And he thinks that like Dallas ran away and that he's playing this like massive game of D&D that like he has to like help figure out where Dallas is, which none of that is true.
So what were the push pins in the...
It actually was part of the kid's D&D thing.
Okay.
They were like spaces in the tunnels that he could hide. And one of the spaces, he does say in the book that one of the spaces that he doesn't mark off was initially where he goes and he hides, and like we'll talk about that in a minute.
Okay.
But yeah, it was part of the D&D game, but it wasn't like a clue for the cops to like play this like massive D&D game. Anyway, that's in the book. The book is actually like, there was a lot of like, she looks like this and he looks like that, and a lot of like talking.
Yeah.
But the book was very interesting in, you know, how he figures out the case, which is, anyway, we'll get to all that.
Got it.
So people begin, like I said, to speculate that he got hurt in the tunnels, or he's injured, or, you know, the group of people left him down there if he got hurt, and that's why nobody wants to come forward. The connection of the role-playing game to Dallas's disappearance prompted news coverage across the nation, both for the disappearance and for like, what is this game?
Right.
Should you be afraid of this game?
Right.
Should you be like watching your children? Yeah. Like, what? It's 10 p.m. Where are your children at?
Right.
You know?
Yes.
So Dungeons and Dragons begins to be described as a bizarre and secretive cult, which players could only join by invitation because no one can just be fucking normal.
Right.
You know? So the search for Dallas was unsuccessful for weeks until one day, Dallas just called Deer on the telephone and says he's ready to come home.
Wait, what? I thought he was dead.
No.
What?
Dallas initially went into the tunnels the night of August 15th, 1979 with methaqualone that he made.
What's that?
Intending to die by suicide, but he did not die. After waking up the next day, he went into hiding at one of his friend's house, and then he moved to 2 other houses in East Lansing. Then he finally took a bus to New Orleans. And he was in New Orleans for weeks. He made a second suicide attempt consuming a cyanide compound that he created.
What the fuck?
But he again survives, and this time he was really sick for a couple of days. He was like in a hotel room. Then he moved to Morgan City in Louisiana, where he found a job as a day laborer for a few days. And after like working, he was like, nah, I'm gonna
go back home.
I'm gonna go back home, I think. And so he calls Deer and reveals his location. So Deer immediately travels to Louisiana to collect Dallas. And the two became friends. Like, as soon as he got him on the phone, he, like, was like, okay, I know this kid is suicidal. Like, I'm going to tell him, like, I care about you. People care about you. Like, people were coming from across the country to, like, I had a dream about him. I think I can help find him, or let me do that. People were really concerned about this kid. You know how it was in the 80s, like, fucking, in the 70s.
Everybody was a psychic.
Yeah. Oh, my God. The psychics that would call and say whatever.
But didn't anybody recognize him from the news or anything?
Yes. So, like, there was people who were, like, connected to the gay culture in the area. Like, they didn't want to come forward.
Right.
Because, A, they would have outed themselves.
Right.
B, they would have outed the fact that they were with this kid. So, like, they were encouraging him to come forward.
Oh, so he was out there being his authentic self.
Yes, right. He was, like, living with a guy. Not living with a guy, but, like, with friends that were...
of the family.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And doing drugs and, you know.
Yeah, not so great.
No, not great at all. But, like, that's what he was doing.
Wow.
So they were encouraging him to, like, go home. You know, like, you're going to have to go home. So Deer, like, befriends him. He's like, I want you to know, like, when we get you home, like, we'll get you patched up. Like, you can come to my house. I have this this guy's like, I don't know. He's like a private investigator. He's like rich. He has a plane and shit. Like, I don't know what his deal is.
So let me ask you a question. Did the private investigator know that he was gay?
He figures it out, yeah.
And he was cool with it?
Yeah, I mean, he was just like, he doesn't care. He just wants to find the kid alive. Like, that was his job.
Right.
I don't think he was cool or not cool with it. I think he was just like, hey, man, like, I really care about you. Like, when you come, like, I have a private investigator business. Maybe you can help me with my computers. And, like, the kid was, like, excited
Giving
by
him
that.
a purpose.
Yeah, yes, exactly. And, like, he reached out to him over the next year, like, try to really, like, befriend him, you know, took him to lunch. And he doesn't go home to Ohio with his family. He stays with an uncle in Texas, which is where the private investigator Deer lives.
Okay.
So, like, he, you know, he has a rough year.
Stayed close.
Yeah, he stays close to them, yeah. But Dallas, when he finally sits down after, like, being in the hospital and doing all that, he sits down with Deer and he tells him the story. But he asked Deer not to tell any of this, like to keep, not to tell the details of it, because he has a little brother that he doesn't want, like, people to make fun of that he has a gay older brother. He doesn't think his parents know that he's gay, but, like, he's like, they're not going to accept me. Like, he explains all that. So he says, like, can you just, like, not, And Deer respects that.
So how are we hearing about it?
1 year and 1 day after Dallas goes into the tunnels and disappears, on August 16th, 1980, James Dallas Egbert III dies of a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head alone in his apartment. He's 17 years old. So Dallas was a sad and lonely, depressed boy without the help or support he needed to come to terms with his sexuality and trauma. So basically, Deer writes this book after Dallas's death.
Okay.
A few years, like maybe 5 years after his death.
Wow.
I think he gives it some time to breathe, and then he tells his story. Which I don't know how the family feels about that. I don't know anything about, like, how that all came to wash, but it was really sad. When they were looking for him, like, they were saying, like, he was playing these games where kids would, like, lay on the railroad tracks and let trains go over them and shit. So, like, they were looking for his body there, and, like, the cops saw his dad, like, just, like, looking for him in the woods. Like, it was really sad. And, like, it was a very sad story. But Dallas was not the only death blamed on D&D, however. Irving Lee Pulling II, who went by Bink, died by suicide on June 9th, 1982 at the age of 17. He was a junior in high school in Mount Polier, Virginia. His mother was Patricia Pulling, and she had gone shopping with her husband. When she came home, she found her son on the front lawn shot to death. She ran to a neighbor's home, called the police. She initially thought he'd been murdered because he's, like, in the front yard. Tests would later conclude that he had shot himself in the heart with her .38 caliber revolver.
Oh, God, that's so sad.
He had left 6 letters addressed to friends and a teacher and to his parents. And in his letter to his parents, he confessed how he felt that he had become evil. Hitler, Antichrist level evil. He was hearing voices, and the voices told him to commit murder, but he was choosing to end his own life instead. He said not to worry, telling her that she'd have another son within a year, and he asked to be cremated and signed the letter Love Bink. In the days following his death, she went through his things and she found what she described as violent, sadistic poems among his papers. The poems appeared to be written by a demented person. And she found out later that some of them were school assignments graded with an A, with some of the teacher's critiques.
Right.
So she's, like, fucking pissed. She's like, why is this, like, a school assignment? Like, why is he writing this? Like, what the fuck is going on? And she finds a book with demons on the cover and titles like The Dungeon Master's Guide, which is, like, D&D.
Right.
Book, whatever. So this is also a very sad story because, like, this mother is just, like, looking for someone to blame.
Yeah. He probably had schizophrenia.
It sounds like, he had some serious mental illness.
Yeah.
And that, he was playing D&D. And it sounds like he was playing it at school.
Right, but it also sounds like in those kinds of situations, it sounds like the parents were very out of touch with this kid. Because you would see some of these things. I saw everything that was in my kid's room.
Yeah, and also, like, what is this, 83? Like, your kid becomes, like, 12, you're like, bye-bye.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right?
You're just like, see you later.
You, like, disconnect from them. I think that's when I did the most talking to my kids.
Yeah. Well, that's because you're from that generation. You're from the generation where your parents disconnected from you, right?
You're right?
So, like, he's your age. Like, he's, well, he's a little older than you, obviously, but...
Yeah.
But right, so, like, we overcorrect, right? But she's, like, really pissed that, like, this is a school assignment and she's looking for someone to blame, and she takes her grief out on D&D. And not only D&D, but she also files a wrongful death lawsuit against her son's high school principal, Robert A. Basie III, holding him as responsible for what she claimed was a D&D curse placed upon her son's character shortly before his death.
How did that fly in a court?
I don't know, but I guess it's because he was playing at school and like he allowed. I don't know. I don't really know like her like logic behind it. She also filed suit against TSR at D&D's publishers or whatever. She formed BADD, B-A-D-D, a public advocacy group which stands for Bothered About Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh, that could be taken another way.
In 1983. And this was after all of her lawsuits are dismissed. She began publishing information circulating her belief that D&D encouraged devil worship and suicide.
Of course those lawsuits were dismissed. Come on. It's a fucking game.
Yeah. And like...
See, why don't we take that same stance about about weapons?
Well, because no one's backing them like the fucking what's the gun thing?
The NRA.
Yeah, no one's backing D&D like the NRA is backing guns. You know what I mean?
I get it, but like seriously, like
that's why, because it's like fucking money.
Right.
You know.
I guess.
Bad describes D&D as a fantasy role-playing game which uses demonology, witchcraft, voodoo, murder, rape, blasphemy, suicide, assassination, insanity, sex perversion, homosexuality, prostitution, satanic rituals, gambling, barbarism, cannibalism, sadism.
What's barbarism? Like where you cut
barbarians?
People's hair? Oh.
Desecration, demon summoning, necromancing, divination, and other teachings. Which sounds like a great time, honestly.
If I had access to voodoo, I'd be very
I mean, if you had
dangerous.
access to half of this, you'd be having a great time.
Of course.
Bad actually achieves some success in airing its views in the press, both through conservative Christian media as well as mainstream outlets. She co-authors a book, The Devil's Web, Who is Stalking Your Children for Satan? And she publishes this in 1989.
The Devil's Web. I love it.
In 1991... the American Association for Suicidology, the U.S. Centers for Disease Control, and the Health Welfare Canada all concluded that there was no causal link between fantasy gaming and suicide. So Bad is effectively ceased to exist after this, and Pulling died of lung cancer in 1997.
Was it a demon that caused it?
I don't think so. It's probably many packs of cigarettes, I would assume.
God.
So, like, the idea that Dungeons and Dragons players acting out real life sessions in dangerous locations like the steam tunnels under the college or losing touch with the reality integrated into cultural consciousness. Like, even when I was a kid, like, I, like, heard that, like, D&D was, like, the creepy kids, like, played, you know, whatever. Like, and it's just obviously simply not true. I mean, you know. Maybe some creepy people play
I was
it,
a creepy people, and I was playing Candyland.
But, like, lots of people play D&D. Lots of, like, regular people play D&D. Lots of very fun people play D&D.
Right.
Two people I love very much play D&D.
Oh, I know. Let's take a poll and see how many serial killers played D&D and how many played Monopoly. And let's see which one
Everyone played Monopoly.
Thank you. The real evil is behind the Monopoly, not the D&D.
That's what I was going to say.
Absolutely.
Ask Dana how that table survived last time she played.
We can't play Monopoly. No one's playing Monopoly around me.
No?
No, we're not
Why
playing
did you smash the table?
I don't like that game. It's very upsetting.
Wow.
So this theory, you know, this case and these cases inspired books and movies such as Mazes and Monsters, where the main character is played by Tom Hanks, and he loses his mind from playing Dungeons and Dragons. And like,
Stop.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it's called Mazes and Monsters. However, the movie seemed to increase the sales of D&D, adding to the game's success over the years. And that is my, like, deep dive into, like, fucked up toys and the satanic cult or whatever. I don't know.
I mean, you know, the Smurfs. You briefly mentioned them. And I can tell you, I definitely cursed.
Why? I remember your parents being very against the Smurfs. And I was like, why the Smurfs?
I mean,
why the Smurfs?
Yeah,
my first birthday party was a Smurfs party. My second
and that's what turned you gay.
Yeah.
See?
They're transgender.
I had the sheets and all of that. Like, they took, everything was gone. So
Really?
I remember
Not the sheets.
I remember having a fever dream. I definitely was sick. But I remember the Smurfs coming to life and jumping around and like messing with the lights and shit. But of course, as I said, it was fever dream in the sense I was having a high fever.
Right.
Yeah.
And thus, at one point, I did dream there was an well, I didn't dream because I was having a fever and I was awake, but I hallucinated an airplane flying through my bedroom. So, but we still fly the planes.
Was it Gargamel in there?
No,
He used to do that.
That's so funny. I love the Smurfs. Like, with my parents, like, I had Smurf. There's, like, a picture of me in a diaper, like, sitting in a Smurf chair. Like, I love the Smurfs. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But my parents, when they became Christians, when I was, like, 6 or 7, they really, like...
They took that Smurf chair
Not Smurfs, because I was, like, beyond that, but, like, we weren't allowed to watch anything.
Really?
Like, they were into that, like... like, I mean, The Simpsons, simply no.
Oh my God.
Well, I was
I
not
was
allowed to watch
watching fucking the Playboy channel when I was like 8.
I wasn't allowed to watch anything. I was, my favorite show that I did watch a lot was Captain Planet. Fucking loved Captain Planet.
Me too.
I loved that. And I used to be like, are you recycling enough? Like, I was like a recycling little sociopath. Yeah, I was like taking shit out of the trash and like putting it in the recycling bins.
No.
I was like such a nightmare. My mom was like, stop watching this. This is
Well, you're
driving me
not
crazy.
wasting water, like shutting
No, my God, no. I was very like a nightmare about Captain Planet. I love that shit.
My favorite was Gem and the Holograms. So
of
there
course,
you go.
Yeah. That was my jam.
I don't know.
Absolutely.
I don't know if my parents would
She
have.
was satanic, though.
Yeah, she was like
All of them were.
Yeah.
All of them were. Honestly, I don't know how I even watched any cartoons.
Josie and the Pussycats were straight up hoes.
Yeah.
Muppet Babies was my favorite. So
I
there
liked
wasn't a
Muppet
lot
Babies.
going on there. But
Yeah.
yeah, outside of that, that was probably the only one that they did not fuss about.
Right, but like you said, like Bert and Ernie. Like, come on.
Right.
Bert and Ernie. Like, if you're going to attack anyone,
It would be Bert and Ernie.
Bert and Ernie with the turtleneck? My God, a gay icon.
I mean, I'm just going to say Sesame Street had a huge impact on my life.
Yeah.
As
I
a gay
mean,
woman?
As everything, because that's
Hello,
how
Maria?
I also spoke.
Girl.
I learned to speak English through
A lot of
Sesame
people did,
Street.
yeah.
That sounded racist.
No, I mean, you hear that all the
I
time,
know.
that like a lot of
I
people
did
are
too.
like,
That's how I
I
learned.
remember you telling me that, yeah. Like a lot of people, because you get Sesame Street all over the world, right? Not now, you have to have HBO, but.
No, well, I have HBO, but I don't ever catch Sesame Street.
No,
on
you
there.
don't
But
watch- put Sesame Street on?
used to be like 12 hours, like a 12-hour show.
Shit was on all
was
day long.
PBS, right?
Yeah, PBS, yeah.
It was like on for literally like 12
Yeah.
hours a day.
There was a show when my son was small called Between the Lions.
Oh my God, yes. My kids loved it.
Oh my God. It was like puntastic.
Yes, it was.
Everything was like puns,
I love
pun
it.
words. It was so good. And it was just like,
Fucking love a pun.
yeah, and the whole show, I mean, literally from start to finish. I would watch that show with him and I was like, this is just fantastic television. I mean, fantastic puns.
Yes.
I mean, the title, Between the Lions. It was a family of lions,
Yes.
and everything was about reading between the lines. It was
Yes.
so fucking smart.
Amazing.
Peak fucking children's television.
Yes.
Fantastic.
And so that brings me to our end.
Yeah.
That's it for us.
If you'd like to satanically panic over this show, I think you should.
I mean,
We bring it to you every week.
right. So we'll see you next week. But in the meantime, subscribe so you don't miss out. We have merch, we have Patreon, we have Buy Me a Coffee. There's so many ways that we can be your bitch. Write a review and share with someone. Where can they connect?
All the socials.
All the socials.
That's right.
We got the Facebook. We got the Instagrams. We got the Twitters. We got the TikToks. We
Come
got
on.
the YouTubes. It's all out there for you. So check you out next week.
Yeah.
And remember, do not get taken to that second location. Be good or be good at hiding a body.
Cheers. Are you okay? Jesus Christ.
Fucking loud.
You're disgusting and I hate you both. Oh, God. I'm crying. Oh, my God. And holding my pee because I almost fucking peed myself.